Now, some people say Boots Ennis is already number one. But here's the question. Has he actually done enough to earn that spot? Or are people confusing unbelievable talent, supreme confidence, and limitless potential with a proven all-time resume? Now, Boots Ennis, he passes every eye test. His confidence is undeniable. His mindset is elite. His skills, they look complete. But pound for pound greatness is earned, not predicted. Today we separate ability from achievement because there are two very different conversations in boxing, and that distinction matters more than ever. So before we go into the statements of Boots Ennis, I want to start with this question. What is the difference? What is the difference between Shakur and Boots Ennis? Now the difference is that yes, both boxers have high IQ. They both have high ring IQ. But Boots Ennis is offensive minded. He hunts his prey. While Shakur Stevenson is defensive minded. And this should help. This should help Boots Ennis with regards to his marketing and his branding. So let's get to the statements. Quote, I already won. It's already set in stone. End of quote. This is pre-fight certainty, stated as fact, not motivation. So there's a distinction. This is objective from his perspective, not motivation. No emotional charge. This is the psychological endpoint of what would assume is elite preparation or good preparation. When I think of, the pre-fight certainty, I often think of the Evander Holyfield-Mike Tyson fight, the first one. And Evander Holyfield, despite all the odds against him, had that amazing conviction, that confidence, no emotional charge, just that understanding that it's already set in stone. He has the victory, even though the whole boxing world disagreed with him. And also another reference point, which is more recent, is when Daniel Dubois fought AJ. And when Daniel Dubois fought AJ, he went into that fight with that mindset that he's already won. Like I said, on that night, Daniel Dubois was like Mike Tyson. He was vicious, he was brutal, and he had a high boxing IQ. So what we see here, to relate it back to Ennis, is we see someone who has already seen the victory. He's got that confidence. Is it overconfidence? I guess only time will tell. And the second statement, again, is a quote, I'm just different at all aspects of the game. I can do everything. End of quote. Again, this can be seen as a boast. That could be how it could be perceived, but it's actually a systems claim. He's articulating that he can do everything. I'm assuming he means within the boxing context. That means box at range effectively, bang, inside, have pressure, switch hit, have significant speed, significant power, significant boxing IQ. This is like not a pay-per-view, but a pound for pound argument. It's expressing that he is technically brilliant. It's not an emotional claim. He's expressing that he's diverse, that he's not what they call a one-trick pony. Let me give you an example. Often the heavyweight boxer Deontay Wilder, and this claim might be fallacious, but he's seen as a one-trick pony. He just has that powerful right hand. But here Boots Ennis frames himself as someone who's diverse. He has many strings to his bow. He can do it all, whether it's box on the inside, box on the outside, box at range, etc. The next quote from Boots Ennis is, quote, he never seen nobody like me, I'm different, and he going to see that firsthand, end of quote. This is where Boots frames Zayas, apologies if the pronunciation isn't perfect there, but he's framing Zayas' weakness not as physical limitation, but basically he's showing that there's an experience gap. There's a gap in experience between the two fighters. In simple terms, Zayas has simply never encountered this level of complexity within the boxing realm. It's a boxing IQ argument that's kind of packaged as trash talk. In fairness, from Zayas' perspective, his counter-argument could be that Boots has never seen anyone like him. I guess this comment of never seeing anyone like him stands up with Boots Ennis because lots of people view Boots Ennis as an elite talent. They see him genetically as having this elite talent that, from a talent perspective, he is in another division, figuratively speaking. Therefore, when he says he has never seen anybody like me, a lot of people feel that his credibility with regards to his talent or genetic potential qualifies the assertion. But of course, when they fight in the ring, the objective truth will come out, and we will see if Zayas has never seen anything like Boots Ennis, or more importantly, if he hasn't seen anything like Boots Ennis, is he able to deal with what Boots Ennis is bringing to the ring? The next quote from Boots Ennis is that he's a solid fighter. He got good fundamentals, but that's it. End of quote. So the solid here, the word solid, is almost used as a narrative bias to cap a two-belt world champion ceiling. So it's almost like minimizing the effectiveness or the CV of his opponent. But also, in saying that he's solid and he's got fundamentals, but that's it, it's like saying that, yes, he's good with the fundamentals, but he offers nothing else. And therefore, the connotation here is that Zayas is one-dimensional. He might be good in that one dimension, but he's only got one dimension. And again, the connotation is that if you look at all the statements and you put them together, Boots Ennis is saying, okay, you're good at the one dimension, which is the boxing fundamentals, but Boots Ennis is good at all dimensions. Therefore, we are in separate categories. And the next quote from Boots Ennis is that I'm on my own list. I'm putting myself number one, pound for pound. I believe that I know that for a fact. End of quote. And this is interesting here because he says he knows he's number one, pound for pound, but he states that he knows it as a fact. And it's interesting because objectively, if you look at Boots Ennis' CV, and he has a good CV, but if you compare it to the CV of Noya Inoue, Bivol, and of Usyk, objectively, from a competition standpoint, he is not pound for pound number one. However, from a boxer's mentality, from a competitor's mentality, he should think he's number one. And remember, there's marketing here. Him saying that he knows he's number one, that can generate headlines. So I can understand this perspective. And another way of looking at it, if you flip the coin, is that in a sense, you're putting yourself under a bit of pressure when you're saying that you know that you're number one. You know that you're the best. You know that pound for pound, you're number one. That puts pressure on the performance, but maybe he reacts well to that pressure. Maybe that psychological pressure brings out the best in him. And as we've established at the beginning of this video, Boots Ennis is not a defensive-minded fighter. He's an offensive-minded fighter. And then the next statement is that, quote, I'm equally even on both sides. Skills, power, defense, my jab, everything all around is just equal. End of quote. Initially, I didn't comprehend this statement, but this statement is referring to him switch hitting, so being able to fight from the orthodox, which is the left foot forward, and from the southpaw, which is the right foot forward. So what he's saying here is that he is equally efficient from the orthodox side and from the southpaw position. So it's this symmetry of mastery. No weak side, no exploitative hand. His right jab is as good as his left jab, vice versa. And that he's technically elite on both levels, for want of a better word, which makes it difficult because it's hard to prepare for someone who's an effective switch hitter, because ultimately you have to have adaptations for the orthodox position, but also you need to have adaptations for the southpaw position. So that can create ambiguity for the opponent. And it just shows that Boots Ennis' form of mastery, it just shows that in his toolkit, not only has he got mastery in the orthodox position, he's got mastery in the southpaw position. And, switch hitting seems to be a skill that's adopted by some of the modern day greats. Terence Crawford comes to mind. He was an elite from the orthodox position, but also elite from the southpaw position. So this could really serve him well in fights, particularly if you need to make adjustments, because that's a massive adjustment, being able to change the angles from orthodox and from southpaw. And then the next statement is, quote, I just be so chill and mellow all fight week, get into the back room, switch on, end of quote. So again, this is a statement about his calmness, that he's very composed. Is this mind games? I guess if he's an emotional character, someone who's very emotional might try to project that they're very calm. But maybe he is just a calm person. He does look like a relatively calm person. He talks quite calmly, quite monotone. And if he is a very composed character under pressure, that's the type of elite psychology that can really help a boxer, particularly on nights where, figuratively speaking, there's the bright lights. When I think of mentally composed boxers, I can think of a variety of people, but the main ones that come to mind is obviously Floyd Mayweather. He maintained his composure even in extreme situations. And also Lennox Lewis, he was someone who would play chess, and it was almost like, of course, part of boxing is being brutal, but also part of boxing is being strategic. And it's almost like Lennox Lewis would bring chess into the boxing ring. He was calculated, he was composed, he was thoughtful, and that was very helpful. So I think the ability to maintain your composure is such an elite ability when you're boxing at the top level. Here is my final statement. Think of this. Boots and Zayas. Boots is not just a boxer, he is a hunter. He studies, switches, pressures, then takes away space. Zayas may be solid, good fundamentals, good rhythm, but Boots is layered. He gives you looks you cannot prepare for. Southpaw, orthodox, speed, power, angles, high boxing IQ. That is the difference. Zayas is facing a fighter who does not just win rounds, he solves you. And that may be the difference. So that's the end of the video. Now I'm trying to build a digital boxing community. That means I'm interested in your comments, I'm interested in your questions, and I'm interested in your observations. Now, if you want to support the channel, simply like and subscribe and click the hype button. And if you want to watch more content like this, then simply click here or click here. As always, thanks for your time. It is much appreciated.